Welcome to Tabletop Gaming Guild. Tabletop Gaming Guild is all about the experiences and memories that playing tabletop games with friends and families can create. Today we're looking at Creature Caravan, designed by Ryan Lockett and published by Red Raven Games. In this game you'll be rolling dice to determine what actions are available to you, to try to gather resources, play cards, and move across the map. With that said, this is the Kickstarter version, so these are the deluxe components, and the deck is slightly larger than it will be for the retail because it comes with a built-in expansion. If you have the retail version, these fancy components are going to be punchboard components. You'll start the game with a caravan, number of tracking cubes, 12 camp tokens, 5 dice, a player board, 8 cards, and 1 coin. You'll determine the first player, and they'll be the first to select where their caravan begins in the first column. No other player can go in that space. However, from then on, turnover doesn't matter as turns are simultaneous. And once the game has begun, caravans can now occupy the same spaces. At the beginning of a turn, you will roll your dice and determine if you like those numbers. If you do not, you can re-roll once, but you have to re-roll all of your dice. If you choose to forego this single option to reroll, you cannot take it later in your turn. Once you begin taking actions, you can no longer take a reroll. Actions are done by placing a dice onto one of the action spots. The die value has to be equal to or greater than the number of pips printed on that action spot. You'll notice that you have a number of action spots on your player board, as well as many of the cards that you can get played later have action spots as well. The free actions consist of either trading in cards from your hand, 1-to-1 for food, or 3-to-1 for coins. You can also, as a free action, play a card from your hand, paying the cost in the top left. Cost is usually food, but can sometimes include bags or coins. Before we get into the regular actions you can take, let's look at the map. And you'll notice on the map there are 4 types of terrain. There's plains, mountains, valleys, and lakes. There's also a variety of special symbols. Clouds don't do anything unless a specific card refers to that icon. This small symbol here is where ember zombies reside. So if you travel through or land on one of those spaces, you gain an ember zombie onto your player board, which is worth -1 points. If you end your turn on one of these treasure spaces, you get to take one of these treasures and get the immediate bonus, as well as keep the end game scoring hidden. So in this case, this will give you a gold coin and 1 point at the end of the game. If you end on a space with a fruit, you get a fruit that you can play on a card or hold aside for later to play on a card. But once it's on a card, it's permanently stuck there, and what it does is it reduces the die value requirement of that card to 1. If a card has multiple actions with die value assigned to them, you must pick one of those actions to assign that fruit to. If you end your turn on a tower, you can draw 3 cards. Finally, you have the Easter egg tile that you get bonus points for if you reach by the end of the game. While there's many things that you can score your points in this game, distance travel is one of the major ones. So reaching that Easter egg can be quite important. So now that we got a grasp on the map, the actions you can take will make more sense. First possible action is the combat action. Combat action can only be taken if you're currently in a space that gives you a zombie. To take the combat action, you will assign the dice there. If you have multiple combat actions, you can assign 1 die to each and use the combined total to fight a zombie. And what you will be doing is totaling the pip values of the dice assigned and choosing a zombie to try to attack. As long as your die value is equal to or greater than the strength of that zombie, you have defeated it. The second action on your player board is Trade Market. This is the Trade Market, and it works just like the zombie ones. Select a column to enter and give up the resource shown, in this case a coin, to get food equal to that number plus 2. So in this case I'd be giving up 1 coin for 3 food. and at the end of the game that's worth 2 points. The key to these 2 boards though is that at the end of each round, cubes will slide down. As soon as this cube reaches the bottom of any column, that column is shut out from all other players. So there are 2 things that can preclude you from putting in a specific column. If you already have one of your own cubes in that space, or some other player's cube has reached the bottom. Next 3 actions have to do with drawing cards. If you spend a die value of 1 or higher, you can draw 1 card. If you spend a die value of 5 or higher, you can draw 3 cards, but you only get to keep 1. Here you can spend a 4 or higher on a die to get a bag. And the last one is you can spend 5 or higher to get 2 food. The top 2 actions here have to do with movement. You spend 3 or higher, you can move into a plain space, so any grassland. If you spend 2 dice of a value of 1 or higher, you can go into any space. You may notice that, well, that really limits your movement, which is where cards can become very important, because there are many cards that give you movement. Cards may give you special abilities, such as this one that reduces the cost for all giants, as well as give you an option to reroll, as well as an additional dice every turn. So this is a very expensive but very productive and useful card. And there's other ones that give you extra food for camping at specific locations, a wide variety. Many of them will give you extra actions you can take, but always keep in mind the cost of the card and the point values. This is a -6, so it's free and really powerful, but you're losing 6 points to play it. Some cards have modifiers to the point value, such as this one that's -5 unless you have 4 or more nocturnal cards, so that you look at the keywords above the name of the creature. And some cards will have cost modifications, so this one costs you 4 food and a coin, unless you have 2 or more machines, in which case it'll only cost you a coin. The other thing to bear in mind that while playing creatures is a free action, so therefore it doesn't cost you a die and can be done at any time, there is a cap of 12 cards that you can play. So once you have your 12 card tableau, unless you have some card that modifies that rule, you can never play another card. You cannot choose to discard cards to be able to play future cards. So that's how a turn progresses. Your turn will end when you choose not to take any further actions, in which case you will place a camp in your current locations, take any rewards given to you by that location, and then wait for everybody else to finish their turn. Once everybody else is finished, you will adjust the 2 market boards. The game ends after 12 turns, at which point all players should have all 12 of their camp tokens on the board. You'll then do final scoring, in which case each player that has a camp token in the eastery gets 5 points. Each player will get points equal to the furthest space they reach during the game, which can be up to 25 points. You get 1 point for each camp, as long as you haven't doubled up. If you have 2 of your own camps in the same space, only one of them scores any points. You'll get negative points for every Ember Zombie remaining on your board. You'll total up your points from the Ember Zombie and the Trade Market board. Each column in which you have a cube is worth the points noted at the bottom, regardless of whether your cube has made it to the bottom of the track. Then you will total up any victory points on cards in your tableau, and any victory points from treasure tokens you have acquired throughout the game. That is all you need to know to play Creature Caravans. I did mention that there is a small expansion included in the Kickstarter edition, and that gives you items that can be equipped to creatures. These items do not count towards your 12 creature maximum, but each creature can only be equipped with 1 item, and the creature must satisfy the requirements, so they must have the keyword listed under the requirements of that item. That's all you need to know to play Creature Caravan. It's a fast, fun game, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you again for watching. Please join us again on YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, and other social medias. And please don't forget to like and subscribe.